Democratic presidential contender Bernie Sanders is looking to build more momentum in the upcoming Nevada caucus and South Carolina primary. His victory in New Hampshire on Tuesday puts the independent senator from Vermont in second place in the delegate count with 21. Former Mayor Pete Buttigieg leads with 23. Senator Sanders joins us from Dulles, Virginia, on his way to campaign in North Carolina. Good morning, Senator. Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
Congratulations on the victory in New Hampshire, but the results there do still show a significant split in the party between the moderates and the left. As we mentioned, upcoming is the upcoming primary in South Carolina, and one of the two Democratic congressmen there just said, "We don't want socialism." How do you broaden your constituency?
Well, look, we are taking on the entire establishment. We're taking on Wall Street. And we're taking on the greed and corruption of the pharmaceutical industry. And we're taking on the insurance companies because we believe that it's time that every American, and health care is a human right, which exists in every other major country on earth. So we're taking on the political establishment, the Republicans and the Democrats. But at the end of the day, the agenda that we have, which says that if you work 40 hours a week in America, you should not be living in poverty. Raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. Make sure that all of our kids have the opportunity to get a higher education regardless of their income. That is the agenda that the American people want. The establishment may not like it. That's what the American people want. That's why we're going to win.
Senator, I'm curious, you've got this label stuck to you, socialist. You've got someone from your own party, the Democratic Party, saying they don't want socialism in South Carolina, referring to you. I know there's a difference between democratic socialism and socialism, but why do you cling and hold on to that label, democratic socialist, when it seems to confuse people and give your enemies and critics an opportunity to bash you?
Well, let me just tell you something. In my view, to a significant degree, we are living right now under Donald Trump in a socialist society. The only difference is, does the government work for working people or does it work for billionaires? Donald Trump, before he became president, when he was in real estate, he received $800 million in tax breaks and subsidies from the government. Socialism for the rich. The fossil fuel industry receives tens of billions of dollars a year in subsidies and tax breaks.
But
that
Senator,
is socialism for the rich.
But Senator, is the label confusing people and allowing your critics to hurt you politically?
Well, I did win the popular vote in Iowa. I did win the popular vote and win the primary in New Hampshire. I think we're going to win in Nevada. I think we're going to win in South Carolina. Working people understand that we have got to finally stand up to the corporate elite and that we have to have a mass political movement of working people and low-income people and young people to do that. So I'm not worried about labels. We will define ourselves, not let other people define us.
Senator Sanders, speaking of those wins in Iowa and New Hampshire, you actually trail in the polls, a recent Quinnipiac poll, with black voters compared to Bloomberg and Biden. So how do you plan to beat those candidates in a more diverse state?
Well, you just wait and see. I don't know what the most recent poll has, but we are doing very, very well with the minority communities, both African-American and Latino. And our coalition is going to build around minority communities, build around young people, and create an unprecedented grassroots movement. Look, a lot of politicians go from the top on down. That's what Bloomberg is about. He's spending hundreds of millions of dollars. That's fine. We don't have hundreds of millions of dollars. Our movement is made up of working people, of young people, and we're going to put that coalition together. We are going to take on the establishment, and I believe we're going to win.
Senator, the DNC just changed the rules, which could allow Mr. Bloomberg to appear in the next debates. Do you think he should be on the debate stage?
Of course not. That is what being a multi-billionaire is about. Some very good friends of mine who are competing in the Democratic nomination, people like Cory Booker of New Jersey, Senator, Julianne Castro, work really, really hard. Nobody changed the rules to get them into the debate. But I guess if you're worth $60 billion, you can change the rules. I think that is very, very unfortunate.
Senator, let's jump ahead to the prospect of a Sanders administration. You've got these ideas. If you're elected, how do you get them through a logjam in the Senate?
Because you rally the American people. The ideas that we are talking about are the ideas that the overwhelming majority of the American people want. And what I've said many, many times, I will not only be commander-in-chief as president, I will be organizer-in-chief. And that means I will go to Kentucky. I will go to those states that are struggling and say to the people in those states, you tell your senators whether or not you think health care is a human right. You tell your senators whether you think we should raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Tell your senators whether we take on the corruption and greed of the pharmaceutical industry, which charges us 10 times more for the same medicine as is charged in other countries. We rally the American people, and finally, maybe just finally, we'll have a Congress that works for the American people, not wealthy campaign contributors.
Senator Sanders, we thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.